No drop frames. 1080p. I look like I'm living in my mom's upstairs room. Like I look like this looks like
you are.
I never had a room this nice. Are you kidding?
Dude, I wish I had a picture of my room to show you, but we were too poor to even afford a Polaroid camera to take a picture.
My room was never this nice. Like, you can see the floor. First of all, it's not full of like dirty underwear and gym socks, right? Okay.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna tell you how bad my room was.
I can fix that. I'm gonna throw some socks back there. Hold on.
There you go. Make it dirty it up. Dirty it up.
Oh, you can't
just so you guys know, I can't see what Jay's doing because he doesn't have a secondary cam yet. I'm gonna force him to do that in the next show.
You can see one sock. The other one missed. It didn't like land on cam.
Dude, my room growing up was so bad that the floor in the corner of the room tore away from the walls and was drooping down about 6 inches, and you could actually see the dirt outside through the foundation.
Wow, and on that, I'm gonna roll the intro.
Jerry is poor. Jerry is poor. He's not as poor as he was when he was a little poor boy, but now he's still kind of poor. Not that poor.
You missed the perfect stream there. You're like, Jerry is poor. Jerry is poor, but not as much as he was before. Jerry is poor. You've gone full circle, my friend.
That could be a new sitcom right there, man.
What's up, everyone? Tech Talk number 149. Jeez.
I feel like we need to restart it and just say Tech Talk 2.
Tech Talk number 2?
This is Tech Talk number 2, starting over.
Well, hey, my background looks different. Yours looks the same, though.
That's true. It's like Stargate Atlantis, dude. You got to start over. It's a whole new series. It's like Tech Talk SG1. This is Tech Talk Atlantis.
Tech Talk Atlantis.
There you go.
Let me go ahead and poop out my chat. There we go.
I've done that before.
I like to pop it out and then stretch it out. If you know what I'm saying. That way you can see it.
Strangely, I do, Jay. Strangely, I do.
Okay. So
did you already tweet out the stream?
It kind of does it automatically. It's that generic, like, I started a live stream. I need to be able
when
to
I see it, I'll retweet it.
I need to be able to go out there and like change that. Like, for instance, I need to be able to change the default like auto tweet, if you know what I'm saying.
You know what I'm thinking about doing as a CodeGasm project? Because I've been studying all of the different API interfaces for like if then that and Twitter and Facebook and everything. Mm-hmm. It'd be pretty simple to write a program that just had plugins for each social network. So basically, you just add little plugins to it, and then you can select them all and just say schedule this to go out to every single network, and like you could just keep adding networks to it as long as there's a way to screen scrape it or even just input it through a browser. I could tie it in and make it work.
Gotcha.
And technically, since I was just writing a little open source thing, it could violate all the rules for those platforms, and like nobody could do anything about it.
I just tweeted out, my friend, if you want to share that. All right, guys. So I am JayzTwoCents, if you're following me from Jerry's side, and that's Jerry, aka Barnacles, if you guys have never heard of him before. AKA Rapey Stash is what I'm calling him for the rest of November.
Hey, pedo porn stash. Okay, pedo porn.
I think rapey sounds a little bit less like, I don't know. See, pedo porn. I mean, you kind of.
Well, that gets me killed in prison. So you're right. That's probably a little bit worse.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Like, yeah, pedos don't make it very well in prison. So
it's pretty.
The free candy van that I was driving earlier, I returned to Hertz immediately after I figured out that was the case.
Pup Shepherd donated $34.99.
Do not look at his. Do not look at his profile. Do not look at his profile.
Okay. Guys, also
we love Pup Shepherd, but not that way.
Pup Shepherd is a longtime listener, longtime caller. Information about donations is in the description below. Please make sure you guys check that out. So we are sticking to our format loosely. I mean, we still need to kind of ease our way into the format. We can't just
ease in.
We can't just ram it in there, if you know what I'm saying. We will never stick to it if we try and do it too quickly. So what we're gonna do, we have a couple topics we want to talk about, and we have some segments that I like to do, like for instance, rant of the week, where we just talk. And I'm trying really hard not to kick my power cord and end the stream, because it's like right by my feet.
Don't do it, man. That happened to PDX land for me when the guy right opposite of me on the table just like unplugged my entire power strip, and he's like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, but at least you didn't do it yourself.
That's true.
My goodness. So the headline. We'll just get right into the headline news because there's a couple different segues here. So Raja Koduri, who you guys know is the leader of Radeon Technologies Group for AMD.
Sounds like he makes fashion bags.
Oh, you got one of them there new Raja Koduri handbags? Oh, yeah. Louis Vuitton is for poor people.
Seriously.
But anyway, he was hired by AMD 2 years ago to head up the RTG, which is when AMD kind of separated Radeon from the sister or the parent company of AMD. And Raja's been at the helm ever since. So the whole RX series, as you know it, 400 series and 500 series, and then Vega was with him at the helm. Now, he went on sabbatical back in September. So Vega launched, You know, lots of around the clock type of nights and working hard. So he took a sabbatical, exactly 40 days actually, at which time he was supposed to come back to the company in December. If you guys don't know what sabbatical means, it's basically like a long time. It's a long paid vacation, basically.
Yep.
And so he was supposed to come back in December. He ended up sending a letter internally to the company explaining that he's very proud of what the team has done. He's very proud of what they've accomplished and the trajectory which the Radeon group is headed, but that he has decided that he is going to be stepping away from AMD, and then gave all of the usual fluff of, like, you know, all the pats on the back and all that stuff.
Yep.
On the same day that Intel announced that they are teaming up with AMD to bring Vega,
which I still don't believe, by the way. I know it's true, but I can't.
Both AMD and Intel have confirmed this, that they are teaming up to battle NVIDIA's notebook market to bring ultra-powerful, ultra-thin notebooks. Their complaint is that notebooks, sure, there are powerful notebooks out there, but look at what you sacrifice. Look at the amount of heat and the amount of size and the amount of power draw you need. Citing, you know, notebooks of 24 inches or 24 inches thick, 24 millimeters thick.
That's why I have this piece of shit.
But imagine, so what AMD and Intel are planning to do is bring a laptop that is that form factor, but without sacrificing any performance. So what they're going to be doing is teaming up for Radeon APU levels of performance and Intel's better compute performance and bringing the two together, which is kind of, maybe that's why we haven't seen a lot of Ryzen-based notebooks coming out. So there's a rumor, and guys, this is a rumor. I am reporting on a rumor, so please take this with face value. The rumor is that the timing looks an awful lot like Raja might be going to Intel. Also, too, there's another rumor, because of course stuff like this really churns the rumor mill, right? You're not listening to me. We talked about this.
No, I'm listening to you. You're talking about the rumor mill, and I'm smacking down somebody for saying I'm not listening to you.
Okay, focus. This is in our contract, mister. That's a little too focused.
Okay.
Somewhere in the middle.
All right, we're good.
Okay, we're good. So now we have to think about this from a business perspective. If you're used to competing with AMD, and you have and if, let's say, someone like Raja did actually move to Intel, you would think there'd be some sort of a non-compete disclosure, right?
There'd have to be, you'd think.
There'd have to be. So why, again, if it's true that he's possibly moving to Intel, that would have to mean one of two things. Either Intel paid him enough to just like walk away and then not, and deal with the non-compete suit that would come of it.
Yeah, like fighting legal money.
Right. Or potentially there's a merger taking place.
That's what I believe is happening. That's where my money is. Yeah.
They confirm,
because the other thing too is technically, like, if he's moving, this is the part, this is where it blows my mind.
Oh wait, hold on. They say that Raja has already confirmed he's at Intel.
Oh, done deal.
So that's got to mean, in my opinion, that means a merger is coming, because
it's got to be.
There's got to be, because you know there's going to be a non-compete.
Dude, there is no way that like the AMD wouldn't sue the ever living shit out of Intel for sniping an employee at that level. Like, it's got to be in his contract.
Yeah,
that there's a no compete for at least like 3 years or something.
This actually makes me happy. Do you know why? Because Intel has the money to actually make this happen, and by this I mean actually bringing a fight to NVIDIA. Intel said 5 years ago, 2012, Intel made an announcement that they wanted to create graphics to compete with NVIDIA. And what's funny about this is there was a rumor that Intel actually tried to team up with NVIDIA to do this very thing. And NVIDIA basically shot them down, and Intel basically was like, okay, fine, we'll get you where we can get you. You just be ready, kind of a thing. Now, that was like 5-6 years ago.
Yep.
Wouldn't this be awesome to see NVIDIA for once get the Intel effect, which is basically where you got so complacent and so comfortable with where you are that finally something comes around like Ryzen and Threadripper to actually shake the tree? If you guys don't know, X299, which launched back in May, was supposed to be launching now, this fall, like just about now. So that means they pulled it in 6 months because of the pressure they felt from AMD.
Right.
Maybe they can do it to NVIDIA.
I can see that happening, but the interesting thing too is, like you said, it's kind of like the Intel bump. You have a company with so many resources and a company that was predominantly known for being in bed with NVIDIA, at least to some extent, right? And now they're using a subsidiary of AMD or like one of their daughter companies, basically Radeon, right? Like you said, there is a degree of separation there, but they are, for all intents and purposes, owned by AMD, Intel's chief competitor.
Everyone's saying non-compete is illegal in California. AMD is in Texas, guys.
That wouldn't do any good.
So
yeah, they actually compete contracts. Like I had one with Microsoft. I had a non-compete that said that I couldn't go work for any other technical company in the same capacity that I worked for Microsoft, which means if I went to another company, I would have had to be a developer in something that I wasn't an expert at Microsoft. I could still be a developer, but I couldn't say like go be an expert at Microsoft SQL Server or something like that at Google.
Do you remember when we first, or about 3 years ago, we were talking about this potential merger between AMD and Samsung? And do you remember how we were hoping that Samsung would dump money into the R&D to be able to actually make things happen? I firmly believe that AMD's lack of power efficiency improvements on Radeon's Vega is specifically just due to the amount of money they don't have to spend on R&D. Now, the argument always was, but look, they have all the consoles. Rumor has it they broke even and or lost money on every console sell. It was just about getting market share, and which looks good to investors. So if you can go to your investors and say, we've got market share, and a good investor would be like, well, it looks like you're losing money, but it's about investing in the future. What if now they have the money? Like, what if Intel's like, you've got a $5 billion over the next 36 months to invest in R&D? Do you think AMD can actually then make something happen because they have the capital needed?
Oh, absolutely. I think AMD's like you said, their principal limiting factor is just the revenue, because they worked really hard to bring like Ryzen to market and then Threadripper, and it's going to take a long time before they see a huge return on that investment. Yeah, like the R&D that went in and everything. So I'm pretty sure they pretty much blew their whole wad building that up. So it's like they've got very little spread around. But if you got Intel writing a blank check, I think they have the skills. I think they've proven they have the skills and the technology to do it. They just don't have the money, the resources, and the time. Yeah, and Intel's kind of buying them that now. Another thing is NVIDIA's got to be getting worried, because Intel has always kind of had a good relationship with NVIDIA publicly anyways, right? I don't know what goes on around the scenes, but even working at Microsoft, I saw how clear there was a relationship between Intel and NVIDIA. And it's just kind of weird to see NVIDIA playing with the enemy now.
You mean AMD and Intel?
Yeah, AMD and Intel, seeing those two play together. And the other thing is, how are they going to do that without creating any kind of competition to AMD itself? Because think about it. I mean, they are putting graphics on chip in the capacity of an APU, which is something that AMD is already doing. So even though they're working with the Radeon division to do this, they are directly competing with AMD's APU now, correct?
I feel like this might be the future. Successful. Yeah. Well, we've all been waiting for Ryzen Pro, right? Or not necessarily Ryzen Pro, but Ryzen mobile compute graphic, or I can't talk, mobile computing, like laptops and stuff. We saw a couple at Computex. I've seen a couple since then. Like I had one. I was supposed to review an Asus one that just never came about or whatever. I think that's because this was happening. So I think AMD might have put the brakes on a lot of the add-in partners for like the notebooks and stuff. Like, whoa, pump the brakes. Hold on, we got something coming. Just hold off, because a lot of these were like being custom built, right, by the manufacturers. Yeah. So I think I'd be perfectly okay with seeing AMD kind of get just completely enveloped by the Intel corporate umbrella. Or not necessarily AMD, the Radeon graphics division. I am okay with seeing Radeon graphics subsidiary of AMD be consumed by Intel. I'm okay with that, because AMD will still compete on their CPU side of things, but I desperately want to see NVIDIA and Jensen's like smirk wiped off the face.
You know what else might happen here too? This might be a little bit of a stretch, but think about it this way. It would be illegal for Intel to acquire AMD. Technically, it would make them a monopoly in the CPU division. So they couldn't straight up acquire, and I'm talking about Radeon, I'm talking about acquiring the chip manufacturer AMD.
But remember, they're two separate companies. They're only dealing with Radeon.
No, right. But my point being is, because Radeon is a subsidiary of AMD and it gives them access, and they're going to be using similar APU technology and everything. What if this is a grab it kind of a legal loophole to work through Radeon to have direct control over AMD? And even though they remain separate companies, they start literally working together to make the rival chips, and then they start price fixing the market, and they control both markets.
How is that any different than how's that any different though between what iPhone or Apple and Samsung have been doing?
The only difference being is that like Apple and Samsung they're not directly in bed together, right? I mean, they use some of the same components and stuff like that, but you don't have one person driving both companies from behind the scenes.
Right. There's a lot of unanswered questions. I mean,
It just is so weird.
Remember,
weird to think of that.
Remember, we're talking about a rumor, right? Raja going to Intel doesn't mean Intel is going to acquire AMD's Radeon Technologies division. We are hypothetically speaking here, but I obviously don't know enough about the legal aspect of the fallout.
But it is confirmed that they are going to work on them with like an APU capacity, like onboard graphics.
That is confirmed. But what we are now doing is we're putting together the pieces of Raja moving there, and now them teaming up for an on-chip graphics with Intel-based CPUs makes it look like this could be the foundation for a merger.
You know, the other thing too is that could have been, and I've seen this happen before too at high-level deals, is it could have been a part of the actual deal. The merger between Intel, well, not merger, but the deal between Intel and Radeon Graphics, basically to acquire him because he could run the show better on that side and it would look better to the investors overall.
Right.
If he was working it from that side, because it would give investors confidence because he's like the dude that works on all that. Now he's sitting in a position to control both the Intel and the Radeon side from one position.
What's happened to AMD stock today? Why don't you take a look?
Ooh, let's go take a look. That's actually a good question because I'd imagine that something big like this would shock it into some direction.
AMD needs to stand on its own, is what Vignesh in chat said.
Ooh, down 5%. Down 5%. Hold on here at $11.12. Let me look at the trend. Hold on for the week.
I still think that's normal for an announcement like this.
It had a pretty sizable jump, almost $1, so almost 10% on the 6th. And then it climbed up to about a $12, and then it started coming off, and then it had a huge drop yesterday.
Right.
And now it's holding steady again.
Which I think could potentially be the right time to buy. No, the right time to buy would have been when it was $1 and we were joking about it 2 years ago. Right.
But even now, I'd say honestly, I'm tempted to actually just go buy some myself because it's down around what 10. It's at $11 right now.
So when it was $1 and we were like, oh my god, they're about to drop below $1. If we had just put $10,000 into it, which would be very feasible, a very doable investment, right? 2 years ago. We could have seen 11x growth in 2 years on that. So it would be cashing out $110,000 before all of your taxes and stuff. But man.
or you could have just bought a shitload of Bitcoin like last year when it was down at like $150 after the crash or whatever. And now it's like $7,000 a coin. Which
I think is probably a reasonable thing to say. Which is more risky, AMD or Bitcoin? At least back then.
I mean, based on the trend, obviously we know the answer to that question now, but if I was looking at it back then and I didn't know, I would always say that the cryptocurrency would have been the riskier market. But holy crap.
But there's all kinds of risk involved, right? So why don't you talk about your topic?
Oh yeah, so this is fun. So how many people in the chat have heard that Ethereum, roughly $300 million of Ethereum has gone missing?
$300 million.
It's gone $300 million worth of Ethereum. We're talking about a cryptocurrency that's only worth about $300 per unit versus Bitcoin, which is like 7,000 now. Now what had happened was a company called, let me see if I can pull them up here. I want to see which company it was. Okay. So anyways, let's see, it was accidentally lost. First of all, this wasn't an attack. This wasn't anything intentional. This was something that accidentally happened, but it was an online wallet that did it. And it was, let me find the name of the online wallet. It's like Proxy or let's see here. Why the hell don't they have it in this article? So anyways, an online wallet. So it says more than $300 million of cryptocurrency has been lost after a series of bugs in the popular digital wallet service led one curious developer to accidentally take control of them, then lock up the funds according to reports. And I'm trying to find Parity. That's what it is. The Parity wallet. So if you guys use the Parity online wallet, kind of like the online wallets like Coinbase you'd use for Bitcoin and Ethereum, well, Parity, this online wallet service, one of their developers in his infinite wisdom, he goes by the name DevOps199, basically wrote a piece of code that took all of the wallets. Because remember, as an online wallet, they have access to everybody's wallets. They basically they manage your wallet just like a bank would manage your bank account. Well, he wrote a piece of code that basically went through and moved everybody's wallet funds into one wallet, like one master wallet. Essentially, it's a little bit more complicated than that. But then when he realized the error of his mistake, because it was completely accidental, he didn't mean to do this. He moved everything in there. He deleted the transaction instead of moving and refunding all the money back to those wallets. And as soon as he deleted the transaction, it basically went into the blockchain, which is the ledger that keeps track of everything, and disconnected the wallet from being accessible. So the wallet is now lost forever with $300 million sitting in it. Now, the only way to fix this is because the way cryptocurrency works is it's kind of a democracy. If whoever all the nodes that run out on the on the cryptocurrency network all run a certain version of the software. And if one of them changes the version of the software, the other ones basically ignore it unless the majority are running that version. So you need 51% of everybody to be running a certain code base. Otherwise, it doesn't get accepted. The only way to fix this now, they're saying, is to get 51% of the network. And keep in mind, there's thousands of these nodes, right? Tens of thousands of these nodes out there. They have to get 51% of them to agree to a code change that would undo this error. And this is like something that's never happened before. Nobody's going to go for this. But if it doesn't happen, this gets orphaned forever. This money can never be accessed again.
Well, I mean, if you're the guy that's got like fractions of an Ethereum and on the line here, then you just kind of like whatever. But if you're the guys that have like big amounts of Ethereum in there, you probably would want to go for it. Because what's the ramifications long term of this code change?
If they go in and they accept the code change across the board to basically undo this transaction, this specific transaction, the ramifications is that other people are going to come forward because there's a precedent set for it, and then they're going to want their transactions undone also.
I see.
And then you get in this huge voting war where you have people bringing up thousands and thousands of nodes to try to corner the market and become the 51% share of the network.
Yep.
So it can be a bad thing. I mean, in all honesty, it's probably better to let the 300 million remain orphaned than to try to allow a code change to be accepted. Now, usually the way that the code changes work, like in the Bitcoin network and stuff, is everybody accepts a code change that helps make the blockchain smaller or makes it more efficient, more efficient on network bandwidth and power consumption and stuff like that. Usually the entire network accepts those openly and they propagate throughout the network, and then you have the next version of Bitcoin. In this case, they would actually be propagating a change for the purpose of recovering lost currency. Now, even though it was a mistake, the currency was lost through a legitimate action, be it the wrong action. Somebody who had access to those wallets was able to bring all those funds together and then orphan the wallet, which is something that's completely, normal. And you're able to do that within the network, but it's something that should have never happened. The guy literally just panicked. This is a guy that panicked and he was like, oh shit, I stole everybody's wallets. They're going to fucking get mad. And then instead of him going through and refunding each transaction, he quickly wrote a piece of code that went in and deleted the wallet, thinking that deleting it would undo all the transactions. But by deleting the wallet, all he did was just orphan it and lose all the money.
How does one guy have this much power?
Because the wallet, they were the wallet. So it's basically like the bank. Like if you ran your credit union, for instance, right? You could walk in and presumably open up the vault and just empty everything out and put it in a truck, pour gasoline on it, light it on fire, and it explodes.
Except for if we're using that as an analogy, there's a ton of safeguards. There's a security guard, there's a security gate, bulletproof glass, a punch code, thumbprint code. It's like tons of things to keep someone from being able to do that. So this one guy, through haste, $300 million. I mean, this is the kind of thing.
Look at it this way.
This is the kind of thing people commit suicide over this.
Oh yeah. No. I'm sure. And the thing is I'm sure that some of those wallets were huge high dollar wallets. Like it wasn't like a million little wallets that had like $50 in them. This was probably a couple of wallets in there that had people's life savings invested.
I feel like this is the kind of thing that like regulatory boards like to use as ammunition on why something like this needs to be government regulated. And
they will. They absolutely will, because just like banks are like FDIC insured. Right. Some dude goes in and shoots up the place, you don't lose your money, it gets given back. Cryptocurrency has no such safeguards. I mean, this company, they can get sued, right? Everybody can sue the shit out of the Parity wallet for losing their money, but that's a civil case. That's not a federal case. So these people aren't going to get their money back.
It's like the guy who deleted Trump's Twitter. Was that real? Did Trump's Twitter really get deleted?
Yes. It's been for 11 minutes.
Though, right? Oh my God. That would have been awesome though. I did see some tweets going around of like that Twitter account doesn't exist for the @real Donald Trump. Yep. I was like, what? I thought that was just like a Photoshop. I never bothered looking into it. I'm sorry, but Trump and any search doesn't usually cross my bar.
Apparently, it was an employee that had access to delete Twitter account, any Twitter account, right? They were like on the enforcement team, and it was their last day there. And on their way out the door, they decided to do that. And apparently, Twitter now is looking into actually prosecuting the person for malicious use of the system and stuff like that. Because Trump, I'm sure Trump is being a dick about this, and like instead of fixing like the flooding in some country or something, he's probably more focused on just getting the guy punished to delete this Twitter account for 11 minutes because that's just the kind of dude he is.
Yeah. Well.
Well, that guy's gonna be dead. We're gonna hear in the news that dude like drowned in his bathtub or something.
Both of them. Probably. The Ethereum guy and this. I mean, I'm telling you right now, man. This is.
And they divulged his name, dude. The user DevOps199, so everybody knows. The
and you just divulged it too. Thanks.
Well, I mean, it's in every single article. Come on.
Still, at least lets people do the legwork if they want to harass the guy.
I gotta go see this. This guy has a Twitter though.
No,
I have to. Sorry, God. I have to go see if he has a Twitter.
Cryptocurrency is just fake money you keep in someone else's pocket, but then so is actual money. That's true. There's a
I can actually prove that that's not true.
Well, Vice actually did a really good video about actual like physically bank-backed currency or gold-backed currency, whatever, versus the actual cash that is in the world, and how digital currency compounds, but it's not actually backed by enough cash in the world to actually back the amount of paper / digital currency we have floating around. So it's like if everyone called in every debt ever, there wouldn't be enough money in the world to cover it.
Like not even a fraction. Like, I mean,
it was pretty interesting. Really makes you think about why cold hard not currency, but the actual like precious metals and stuff that currency is based on is so valuable.
Yeah, the other thing that I would like to add to what that one person said about putting your money in somebody else's wallet, ultimately they have control. That's actually one of the things that cryptocurrency protects you against. Is if you have a bank account, right, and you put your money into the bank account, and that bank account for whatever folds, or the US government freezes your assets or whatever, you no longer have access to that money.
Right.
Well, the nice thing about cryptocurrency is you actually can replicate the blockchain to your local computer and keep your own ledger and your own copy of the ledger. And as long as 51% of the network doesn't vote that ledger out, which like we said, just doesn't happen, right? If that doesn't happen, then you own that. And there's no way you can go anywhere in the world at any time and come on and transact in and out of that blockchain. Yeah. And with nobody else having their hands on it, you would just propagate the change through the network and it would see it because everybody has a copy of it. Any transaction you do on the network, it's not one person has your money. It's everybody that's ever done anything with the currency has a reference to that money and proof that it's there.
Right.
So it's actually quite safe. A lot of people don't think it's safe. It is. As long as you're not using an online wallet, if you then it's just like a bank, right? If they fold or fuck up, they take your money with them.
I mean, it just comes all the way down to the risk you're willing to take though on a volatile market. You know?
Yep. Yeah, so. It is. And that's exactly what it is. It's no different than the stock market. It can go up and it go down. It's controlled by supply and demand. And, you know, it's just, that's how it is.
Yeah.
Nobody can predict this shit. I know people that have been in cryptocurrency for years that swore to God that you know, Bitcoin was going to crash 80 times. And one of them even convinced me to sell all mine last year at like $300 a coin. And now today, both of us are kicking ourselves in the teeth. Because, I mean, I'm sure he sold like 5,000 coins.
Aren't they north of like $6,000 a coin right now?
7,200 last I checked.
And the last time you showed me it was 6,000 something when you were down here.
No, when I was down there, I think it was 5,000, and we were saying, "Wow, that's the highest it's ever been." It's gone up like another $2,000.
This is like a housing bubble. It can't sustain. It can't sustain.
No, it has to crash at some point. But the thing is when, right? It could go up another $7,000 before it finally crashes. But when it does, it's going to take a lot of people with it.
Okay, I am going to ask you a very basic question regarding cryptocurrency that I think a lot of people are probably asking themselves out there.
Sure.
Okay, cryptocurrency currently, so Bitcoin has a value of over $7,000 per coin, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's actually backing that coin to give it its value?
Nothing.
Just the fact that people can spend it and people are accepting it. All you need to be a currency is something I can trade you that makes you willing to give me something in return for it. That's all that makes it a currency, right?
Yeah, just like any fiat currency. The dollar bill that's in your wallet that used to be backed isn't backed anymore, and it's not even, you know, it's worth the paper it's written on, but there's no guarantee that's always going to be the
right.
The only worth that money has is what worth is put on it by us as a people. Like for instance, with cryptocurrencies, they all vary, right? Ethereum could go up while Bitcoin goes down and vice versa. What it all comes down to is how many people are accepting it, how many transactions are happening on the network, how much currency is coming in versus how much currency is being acquired and spent and transacted. All those factors are what dictate the cost. But at the end of the day, it's whatever people will pay for it.
Right. No,
so if there's only 5 coins and 8,000 people want those 5 coins, it's going to be $7,000 a coin, right?
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things. I guess I'm so old fashioned in my mind. I'm like, there's got to be something behind it, given its drive. But I guess just people
electrons. I guess if you want to get down to it, Jay, it's electron. Cryptocurrency is backed by the electricity that was used to mine it.
Well, I mean, I guess it's very true. Like which is why the penny in the United States is so obsolete, because it costs more than a penny to make a penny.
Yeah. Right.
In fact, I think it's getting to the point where they're saying the nickel is actually more expensive to manufacture than the nickel costs or is worth.
Yep, and they've been trying to phase out the penny for a long time, but the problem is our economic system works in so many fractions of a dollar and a cent, and there's so many uneven numbers. It's like, how do you get by without a penny? I mean, pretty soon they're going to just stop making them out of. I think right now they don't even make them completely out of copper anymore, do they?
No, they haven't done that in forever.
Yeah, it's like the original ones were all copper. Now they're like what, tin with copper plated tin or something like that.
It's like some alloy, but
so pretty soon it won't even be that. Pretty soon it's going to be like paper mache dipped in like plasti dip or something like that. I mean, they're going to have to keep getting cheaper and cheaper to manufacture.
Jay, no major currency has a backing. We already talked about that. We talked about that earlier. Yeah. So I mean, I'm not naive enough to think that like there's enough gold in the world, gold and silver, to actually back the paper currency. We were talking about that. I was saying that's why actually having gold and silver is probably the best investment you can have in terms of physically owning something.
I think the best way that I would explain it is if we were at war, like if a war broke out tomorrow and everybody was shooting each other and stealing each other's food and clothes and stuff, you're not going to walk into a store and offer them $100 bill for like a can of beans. They're not going to take it, right? Because that money has absolutely no worth, and now the beans is worth $1 billion.
Well, think of Zombieland, right? They were like wiping their nose and using $100 bills as toilet paper and stuff because it meant nothing. But
that's exactly what would happen, right? The only reason money means anything is we make it mean something. That's it. Same thing with cryptocurrency. Like cryptocurrency is just this magical thing that only so much of it gets distributed every so many minutes or so many hours. And then that gets distributed to a couple of people. And if there's more people that want the currency than what currency is available, the cost goes through the roof. That's just how it works.
I'm seeing it's a bronze alloy. It's a tin alloy. It's zinc. It doesn't really matter. The bottom line is
adamantium, unicorn pubes.
The bottom line is it costs more to make it than it's actually worth. It's one of those things like when I went to Taiwan for the first time earlier this year for Computex, of course, I had to get money exchange and pull money out, so I had local currency to use for the places that didn't take Visa or whatever. So they have what's called the new Taiwanese dollar. And it was kind of interesting because they don't have cents, right? It's just dollars. Everything's dollars. But of course, everything seems super expensive, right? So this venti caramel macchiato in Taiwan costs $200, right? But it's really and it's funny. It's like, and I made the comment to Paul's Hardware actually, he made a very good point. And I was like, it's kind of cool that they don't have cents and stuff here. He's like, yeah, but everything's so expensive. And once you look at how much things cost, and each dollar becomes the cent, right? So it's like $155. So
you're walking around with like $100,000 note, and it's like $3 or whatever. It's like not a lot,
right? I still have a bunch of the Taiwanese money, which I actually brought back to the States with me, but it was under $10,000 in value, so it was perfectly legal. But it was just funny. So their coins, of course, are dollars. So it's like a $50 coin, stuff like that.
It's like similar to yen, right? I've heard like in Japan, you go in, it's like you buy a car, it's like 1.5 billion yen or something for like a Honda Civic or some shit.
Yeah, I was on Ray's website the other night looking up the replacement stickers for my wheels, and of course it was like 2,500 yen for the sticker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like super duper. At least it's like the currency is just lots of it to make a little. But anyway, crazy. So speaking of NVIDIA and all that stuff, there was another announcement that was made while we were on our way to PDX land, and that was that of the new Titan Collector's Edition. Have you seen it, Jerry?
I have not.
Why don't you go look it up real quick so you can see what we're about to talk about here. I received a teaser email from NVIDIA that was a link to a YouTube video where they were teasing the new Titan XP Collector's Edition.
This is another one of those bullshits where it's like nothing new, it just looks different.
What they've done is they've jumped on the Star Wars train where they've got two different Collector's Editions. They have a Rebel Alliance and like Dark Order, whatever it is, right? The red.
Oh, they're like themed. Okay.
Right. So there's a red one and a green one, and it's all custom based on Star Wars. So they're trying to jump on that. I have no idea what the cost is because I haven't seen it in terms of cost. But as somebody that's getting a new system built tomorrow, you were saying, what do you even care about this custom? I want to poll the audience too. Do you guys even care about these custom themed coolers?
Not even remotely.
I mean, they're neat looking, but it's like, how much longer can you milk Pascal at this point?
Well, here's the thing: it doesn't even look like they're RGB. They're either red or green. So unless your build is themed red or green, you're kind of fucked.
Well, I mean, it's based on light side, dark side.
I don't know. I get that, but it's like at least put some RGB in it or some shit so you can make it match whatever color your case is.
People are saying it's the same price. Now let me ask you this: you're getting two Titan XPs. You already have two Titan XPs in your system. So
yeah, I'm actually trading them out of William into the new one just because we don't want to go get two more Titan XPs.
If this was fresh and you had never put the original Titan XPs in there for the same price, would you have gotten one of these themed ones?
In that case, yes, I would.
Which one would you get and why?
Oh, I'd get the Jedi because I just like Star Wars and I like the Jedis and I like green.
Which one would I get?
You'd get the red.
Why?
Because you're evil as shit and all your shit's usually red.
Actually, I've very rarely used red.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've never actually had a red fluid PC. Well, I've had one red fluid PC back in like 2012, 2011.
Which color would you go with then?
Well, the green ones would match like Skunkworks now with its green theme.
That is true.
But
that is true.
But if I put them in Skunkworks, then the coolers come off anyway. So,
you know what I do like about it though is I like that at least the design of the card is slightly different. Like the window is bigger on the green card than the red card. The shape and accents are a little bit different. So it's not like they just changed the lighting and put a different thing on it.
Right.
One's kind of rounded, one's kind of square. So it does give you a little bit more options as far as aesthetics go. But if you're not doing a Star Wars themed build, it seems a little weird to have a Star Wars themed graphics card.
Are there that many Star Wars fanatics currently shopping for Titan XPs?
You know what? There's a lot of Star Wars fanatics, but I don't know how many of them are going to be the hardcore gamers building PCs that want that to be the theme.
What I kind of love though is the audience will say stuff like, "It's overpriced, it's stupid, no one's buying this." If you go to PDX land, Titan X's are as common as like soda pop, right? There are Titan X's everywhere. So I mean, I think that's the crowd though, right? The enthusiast, which is exactly why these products exist.
And it's the same price, right?
The same price.
$1,200. So if it's the same price, I don't know why anybody would be. Now, the one thing I could be seeing happening though is what quantities are they building these things in?
Oh, I don't know, and I don't know if there's a limit per customer. I couldn't tell. I think it might be a limit 2 per customer.
Because I'm wondering if this is going to be one of those situations where they don't make, and everybody just buys them and then just creates a secondary market selling them for like $3,000 and $4,000 and $5,000 to like PC building enthusiasts.
And who the hell would pay that?
A lot of idiots. we knew people that like paid like $3,000 to buy a goddamn Titan. Back in the day.
That's true. Well, at least you got 2 GPUs on it for the Titan Z, but then it was
true.
That was one of those times where like 1 + 1 = 3, and that's, remember my video, my rant? I was just like, how's 1 + 1 = 3? Because it was like 2 $999 GPUs placed on one PCB with an additional 50% cost added to it. It's like, what the hell?
You know what is kind of interesting now that I think about it though is how can they offer these at the exact same price as the non-themed Titan XP when they have to pay licensing to Disney?
Maybe they're not paying it. I don't know. They're NVIDIA.
NVIDIA's out of business tomorrow. No, that's real. That's actually kind of really weird to think about it, because you'd think that just with the licensing alone that they'd have to up the price on it significantly. Do you think this is just a cash grab though? Instead of creating a better Titan XP, they're just like, oh, we're just going to rebrand the Titan and sell it all over again?
Hasn't NVIDIA already kind of proven that they're all in it for the cash grab for the last couple of years?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I still like their shit, though.
That's the problem. They make really good hardware, but it's kind of like the Apple effect, right? You can hate the company, but you can't deny their products are powerful and their work and they're good.
And unless somebody else rivals them, they rarely move, right? It wasn't until Radeon started producing good GPUs that were really starting to rival them that all of a sudden we saw like TI's this and TI that. And
yeah, but I think the problem is Radeon left too much performance on the table with their power draw versus what you got for the performance, which is why the justification for the 1070 Ti was even there. But that's why I go full circle and saying we need the Intel Radeon thing to actually put NVIDIA in a little bit of a sweaty position to make something happen. Because I mean, this is if Volta doesn't come out until GDC, which is in the spring, then that will make Pascal a 2-year life cycle. We have never seen a 2-year life cycle from NVIDIA since inception. It's been 12 to 18 months at the most. And if we don't see Volta until May, that's 2 years Pascal sat around. Why? Because there was no reason to spend the money to make it faster.
Right. And I mean, Intel's honestly guilty of the same exact thing too. Like you said, they only rushed up X299 because it proved it was ready, right? I mean, they rushed it because they had to.
And they pulled Coffee Lake in 6 months as well. Coffee Lake was supposed to be next year, and it came out when X299 was supposed to come out. So everything pulled in 6+ months on Intel's side because of the quote-unquote pressure they claimed they weren't feeling when Ryzen first launched. Well, then look, right? And that put a lot of stress on the board partners too, because remember, Intel doesn't make the motherboards. The motherboards are all manufactured by Foxconn and Gigabyte and all those guys. So it's like suddenly they have to ramp up all of their production. And what happens when you pull in a date and ramp up production? Problems.
Yeah, way less QC. I wonder if, like you said, Intel working with Radeon now. I wonder if AMD's or the Radeon division is going to benefit from that work with Intel in a capacity of building a better standalone GPU versus just an APU.
I don't know.
Like I wonder if Intel's money and infusion that comes to the table is going to fuel not only the development of a better APU on a processor, but rather a more energy efficient and faster GPU, which would then give them something that would push NVIDIA again to step off this freaking Titan XP and create the Titan X-p.
Here's a good point. Hulk Smash in chat says maybe the tech is hitting its limit. There's been a lot of discussion. There's been a discussion lately about Moore's Law. Jensen himself said Moore's Law is dead. But he said it more in a way that he was trying to say we're moving faster than the rate at double, annual double increase or 2x increase annually. So
I've read that too, that we're actually outpacing it.
Yeah. So are they going to call this Jensen's Law now? I don't know.
Well, I think Moore's Law kind of indirectly focuses on the theoretical top speed that you can basically achieve in computing. I don't think it takes into account that you can eventually hit that limit and then just chase other limits, right?
Right.
There's an infinite number of other limits you can chase because, like, once you hit the top, you know, we're saying 5 gigahertz in that ballpark is about as fast as, you know, you're going to transact electrons across silica or whatever. So now what's the next big, you know, superconducting metal that's coming down that's going to change that? If it doesn't, why don't we just create more threads, more cores, right? And that's what everything's doing now. That's why the freaking CPU I'm getting tomorrow has 14 physical cores and 28 logical cores. Is because of that. Now what happens when you take it a step further, and now it's like, well, now let's change the instructions. The CPU can only cycle so fast, but we can add or remove instructions to make it even quicker, or we can optimize those instructions, or we can make software that's more optimized that runs across those cores and is faster. I mean, there's always another way that you can optimize and keep going faster. I think we are a long ways away from hitting all of the limit.
And Moore's Law is Intel's pricing scheme. That was a good one. Slick like ninja. That you get credit for that one in chat. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, everyone likes to peg us fanboys, but I'm just as fed up as everyone else. You know.
Yeah, Adam messaged me. He said Moore's Law is as it applies to a single stream, not multi-proc. So that actually makes sense. And I do believe Moore's Law is being observed as far as how fast you can push
in terms of
a single thread, basically.
In terms of silicon and all that.
I mean, you can only transact electrons so fast, right? You start running up against the physical limitations of something, but then you find, you know, hacks, if you will, to work around it.
Here's a good question. Again, it's from Slick, the same guy that mentioned Intel's Moore's Law. He says, do you think we'll ever see 128-bit OS? What do you have to say to that?
God. Well, yes, the answer is absolutely we will at some point, but I think it'll be a very, very, very way, because the reason to 28-bit OS would be for memory addressing. And right now, no computer on Earth even has close to as much memory as you can address with 64 bits. So will it happen? Yes, but probably in like 30,000 years when everything's like holographic matrices that take up like 1 billion petabytes.
30,000 years though. How about you look at where we've come compared to 8-bit though?
No, that's true, but it's exponential. So like you can only address 4 gigabytes of memory with 32 bits, but with 64 bits you can. It's like a factor of. Hold on, let me see here. Let's see here. 64 addressing limits.
Coded
1 second.
It's saying 20 years.
20 years. Okay, here. So how much memory can a 64-bit machine address? Okay, it's literally given in formulaic form because the number would be so ginormous. So chances are we probably will never see. So yeah, it'd be 16 exabytes of physical RAM.
Okay, but what if the entire compute platform, which we know it changes then? That's probably more likely than actually hitting 128-bit, you think?
And the truth is, in the fact, they've tried to say like things are 128-bit in the past, where they've used 2 64-bit processors or 4 32-bit processors, like back in like the Atari Jaguar days and Neo Geo and all that shit. That was their workaround. But to have a truly 128-bit processor would mean that the processor, each instruction could address 128 bits of memory. And honestly, that would slow it down. That would not speed it up. A 64-bit processor is actually slower than a 32-bit processor because it has to address more memory.
Jerry's voice is cutting out randomly. Yeah, I know Discord is doing that, and I can't do anything about it. Sorry, guys.
Sorry about that, guys.
It's not you. It's just the connection.
Oh. So honestly, I don't think in our lifetimes we're not going to see a true 128-bit because there's no real benefit to it. That's the big thing is, remember, the number of bits that you have accessible to the processor is directly proportionate to the memory that you're addressing. That's really the only significant thing. And it's slower because you're having to address more memory, which means all the mathematical computations now have to be of a larger factor and take longer to run.
I have to imagine that we cannot possibly be in a situation where this is the only way that computing can be done in the history of mankind and future and past.
No, quantum computing already exists. And that's like, I don't even understand that shit. It's so different.
Right. Okay, so we've been streaming now for 45 minutes, and we've talked about a lot of topics and stuff. The only other segment I really want to do is Rant of the Week. Do you have anything you feel like ranting about?
I just want to rant about the iPhone X because I hear everybody just seriously like just drooling and jizzing all over their pants about it, and I'm not that impressed at all.
And full disclosure, you and I both have daily driven iPhones.
Yep, and I still do. I still, my daily driver's an iPhone 7 Plus.
I've got an iPhone 7 Plus myself. I also have an iPhone 8 Plus on the way in that I didn't buy it. It's part of a video thing I'm doing. But this is the first iPhone. I've used iPhone for its simplicity, and I've always been a dual phone carrier, right, guys? People have noticed in some of the backgrounds of my pictures and videos, I also have an Axon ZTE phone, which is kind of like a boutique type of Android phone.
Yeah. But and I carry a OnePlus 3. A lot of people don't see this, but that's my second phone, and it does have an actual card and an IMEI. So this is like a paid for line. This isn't just a piece of hardware.
Yeah, and I really like my Exxon phone. There's just a couple things I didn't like about that exact Exxon Pro, ZTE Pro that I was using. But anyway, I digress. When I digress, sometimes I forget where I was going. Oh, okay. So ever since the iPhone 4 landed on Verizon and the CDMA network, I have always used whatever the latest phone was. And this is the first time I truly don't give 2 cents. I don't care.
I'm in the same boat. Same boat when it comes to the X. I mean, like and even like looking at the iPhone 8, right? Because they have the iPhone 8 if you don't want to go the whole iPhone X option. And I looked at it and like the specs and the camera and everything. It's like nothing on it really is pulling me.
Yeah, like I said, the only reason I'm even getting one is because it's being sent to me. And I mean,
they moved away from dual lens too, right? It's only a single lens camera now.
I believe it's still dual lens. It just goes up and down instead of sideways.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, and that's got to suck for case manufacturers, right? It's like the only thing that's physically different is the cameras are oriented differently, so now we have to retool our cases just to go up and down instead of side to side. Ugh,
I swear to God, Apple does that on purpose, though.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, it's the iPhone 8 normal one only has one, plus has the two different.
But that was the case for the 7 as well.
Right. So they haven't changed much in that department.
Right.
But like you said, yeah, changing the orientation of things just to fuck with case manufacturers. I mean, get out your Dremel.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the iPhone X, the thing okay, so my rant with the iPhone X is 1, it's stupid expensive. 2, even with Apple Care, it still costs like a ridiculous amount of money to replace the screen. If you don't have Apple Care, it's $500 and some odd dollars, and you are going to replace that screen. I'm sorry, but that thing is like a bar of soap. You are going to drop that damn thing unless you put it in a really expensive case, in which case, if you put it in a case, you're kind of defeating the whole purpose anyways of having a phone where the entire front of the screen is a screen.
I want to talk to the price though real quick. Yeah, I see all this hate about $1,000 for a phone, $1,000 for a phone.
It's a lot of $1,000 phones now.
No, but that's the thing. Phones have cost $1,000 for a long time. What people are just used to paying is network subsidized pricing because they want you to come to their network, so they cut the price of the phone big time. The difference is there's no subsidized pricing on the iPhone X, so you're paying what the actual phone costs. But don't get caught up on the whole $1,000 phone. That's what a lot of these phones have always cost. So with that argument out of the way, I'm really sick. Like my feed, I'm really mad at my Twitter feed right now because my Twitter feed is full of all these phone reviewers and stuff. And it's like taking on the iPhone X, selfie on the iPhone X, blah, 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 portrait mode. It's like, I don't care. Oh my God, I did not subscribe to photo feeds. So I've actually started muting a lot of the people that I follow lately until we're past like the actual craze of the new.
I know. I'm seeing the same thing from like my friends that have the iPhone X. They're like, oh my God, it's so revolutionary. And it's got a screen that's like half as bright as the competitor's screen. When you watch a video on it, it has to be in a letterbox mode because it's a weird fucking form factor and it has to stay within the weird little chunk at the bottom. And if you do make it full screen, it's like the shit's covered by your earpiece cut out at the top. It's like you have a square screen for a reason because content is designed to play on a square screen.
Well, it's like, it seems like the only thing people can really talk about, especially the reviewers, the only thing they seem to really be talking about is the display or color shift and what selfies are like. It's like, is that where we've evolved to where the actual, and these videos are getting millions of views, right? Millions of views because they're talking to the average cell phone pleb out there where all they care about is how well they can take their selfies. And this is my rant, obviously.
The power of gimmicks.
Right. Yeah. It's like, how well does this phone take a picture of this flower? How well does it take a picture of my face and blur the background artificially? It's like, I don't care. It's like if $1,000 phone, the only thing you can show me is what the screen looks like and how well it could take a picture of your ugly face. I'm sorry, we've reached a low point as far as mobile tech goes, as far as I'm concerned.
Now to counter you just a little bit on that one, though, I do primarily use my iPhone for taking pictures. Yeah,
no, that's fine, but it makes me feel like of all the tech that you actually are cramming into your phone, if you are a true tech enthusiast, you care about more of what your phone can do than just how well of a mobile camera is it that can make phone calls.
Oh, fair enough. And Android has always cornered the market by pushing their phone not as a portable camera like iPhone has, but as a computer. I mean, and that's both its strength and its weakness. The biggest weakness I would say of Android is that it is too configurable. It does have too many options. It does have too many settings, and it gets to the point where certain applications in the marketplace, because of the level of options that are available, it's hard for them to rein in the quality on those apps and kind of the continuity across all the apps. Whereas with iPhone, you have much more continuity between the applications, how you share photos, how you ingest photos, how you move them between applications. you don't have the same breadth of options, or depth of options, but you have the options that you need to get it done quickly. That's why I've liked iPhone, kind of because it's the dumber phone. And everybody's like, well, why would you want that when you're a software developer?
Because you can use it when you're drunk.
Right. You can use it when you're drunk. And my phone is not my computer. I need my phone to be the thing that I can use when I'm incapable of using the computer. My phone is my communication device primarily, whether it's posting to social media and stuff.
Yesterday, I had to switch my Google account on my Axon phone, my ZTE. And I swear it felt like the most painful thing in the world to try and do. Because the Android menu system, and here's the thing, this is going to trigger people because daily Android users, because I don't use my Android as much as I use my iPhone. So to me, it's ass backwards from what I'm used to. It's just like jumping on Mac OS versus Windows.
Exactly.
So this is going to trigger people who are like, no, I know how to use Android. It's super easy. To me, I'm too damn simple-minded with my phones. It took me like 15 minutes and a lot of cussing and yelling and getting angry at the phone to figure out how to switch my Google account.
Dude, I've seen how much you use like your iPhone. Like when I was with you, you're literally, your brain is like physically tethered to that thing, and you have to do 1,000 operations a second. Like if you had to do that on Android, murder yourself.
Oh yeah, it made me want to just yesterday with what I was doing with it. Okay, so a good discussion has been taking place in chat that at least
that's impossible on your channel.
Well, we're talking about phones, right? So this is probably the first. Android has probably been the closest thing you have to being the computer geek's phone, right?
Absolutely.
But what about the Razer phone? I do feel it's a bit gimmicky, but
a bit.
But allow me to devil's advocate here for a second. My channel is about PC tech and PCs and all kinds of tech. We're in car tech lately, and as much as the audience is pushing back, I'm just going to keep shoving my anti-crowd defense in their face, and I'm going to show you what I want to show you, so deal with it or get out. But that being said, I think I kind of want to buy a Razer phone just to be like, okay, is this a device actually made for computer folk from computer folk, or is it a gimmick?
Let me ask you this.
I'm not going to
what
ask
operating system is it running?
I don't even know. I've not looked into. I've totally not cared. Brian is the one that came to me and was like, "Hey, we should do something with the Razer phone." I'm like, "Why? My audience would freaking chew out my spine and wave it above their heads if I did something about the Razer phone." He's like,
"It's got to be Android."
He's like, "If it sucks, then say it sucks." I'm like, "Of course I'm going to say that, but just the fact that I'm even reviewing the Razer phone is going to trigger people." He's like, "So let them be triggered." So it got me thinking.
It's Android.
So what is it? Just a UI?
It's just and that's what most phones are. That's another thing that I hate about Android is you can have 5 different phones that look and act completely different that are all running on top of the Android kernel.
So what is the Android, or is the Ryzen phone? Oh, there was the next one, the Ryzen phone, right? No. So what is the Razer phone actually giving you?
So the Razer phone. Hold on, I'm looking at it right now.
Let me guess. It's green accents.
Yeah, hold on here. So it's okay. Its pros are, let's see, has an attractive, slim, and lightweight design. Okay, whatever. It's water repellent and scratch resistant. I like how they say repellent, so it's not waterproof.
Yeah,
it means it has an IP67.
I'm surprised they say repellent. Normally they say resistant.
Yep, it has a fantastic 4.3-inch super AMOLED screen.
So it's an AMOLED, okay.
Which I believe is actually fairly old technology.
Yeah.
A 1.2 gigahertz dual core processor. That's pretty standard. So nothing fancy yet. Plenty of multimedia features, corporate and government grade security, whatever, web top functionality, and decent battery life. Okay, what's the bad? The Motorola Droid Razer, large size, might feel awkward in small hands.
So it's just a skinned Razer or Droid.
It's literally just a skinned Android.
So it's a Motorola. It's a Motorola phone.
It is.
Okay, press 1 in chat if you think I should buy this phone just to shit on it.
Hold on, let me see here. So Razer. No, hold on. Let me make sure I was looking at the right thing, because I think that was called the Droid Razer. Yeah, the Motorola Razer.
Does it have the little Razer logo and everything?
RAZR.
No.
Nope, that's the wrong one.
No, that's not the Razer phone. Okay, hold on, bro. Hold on.
This is what happens when you have 2 phones from 2 different companies.
Hold your ones. Don't hit one. You got to look up RAZER.
Yeah, this is like the company Razer that makes like the mice and the peripherals and the laptop, right?
Exactly.
All right, I found it. Okay, no. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. Okay. Smartphone for gamers. Okay, hold on. We just triggered everybody in the chat.
I know. There goes all the ones. Guys, hold your ones. Yeah. Wait till we actually...
Just hold your ones. Simmer down. Okay, this looks radically different. Okay, hold on a second.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, so Ultra Motion technology delivers refresh rates up to 120 hertz. Okay, that is unique as shit. Okay, so it's 120 hertz screen, 0 lag, quad HD. Okay, hold on here. So I don't know why they can't just say 4K. Fucking true to life cinematic audio, whatever. It's got Dolby Atmos, performance optimized.
Wait, whoa.
What?
How the hell does a phone have Atmos?
Dude, this is such a fucking joke, and you know this because you had like the single sound bar Atmos shit. Atmos is just the 7, but it can be simulated. Atmos can be done from 2 speakers.
I have a video going out about Atmos, but the Atmos thing isn't moving. Is this just speakers at the top of the phone firing over your head?
No, this thing literally looks like it just has the 2 speakers, one on each side, and they're using the Atmos codec to simulate the sound coming from different places.
Well, that's exactly how the sound bars work, and like I said, I have a video about that, and the sound bar works if you're in the right environment. But I still don't understand how that's going to work with a phone, because
all they're going to do is just shift it. They're going to do that same thing that was it Razer. Razer Synapse? Has anybody used Razer Synapse before?
I have it, but I've never used it for headphones.
So if you use it on headphones, you can actually distinctly tell the sound coming from in front of you or behind you with 2 speakers, and it does it by like phase shifting the audio. And I'd imagine they're probably just doing something different just with the Atmos codec. Shit, you can even do it in Windows now. If you install the new Fall Creators Update, you can go in and apply the Atmos codec for $14 and all your Windows sounds.
Have you ever actually sat and listened to like the Atmos soundbar?
Not the Atmos soundbar, no, but I've listened to a full Atmos system with like the firing speakers on the ceiling.
Because I know that Kevlar Condom has that. But look, the soundbar, next time you're down here, you have to experience this. It's actually pretty damn convincing.
Now that's not the one that's sitting on your desk upstairs at the studio, right?
No. This is a much bigger. It's a much bigger LG bar. It almost looks like the one that comes with the wallpaper TV.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually pretty damn convincing. I've had it for a while now. The video's going live pretty soon.
All right, hold on. I'm looking at the specs. Okay, they still haven't listed the operating system that's running on it, but it looks like it has. So yeah, it's got the Atmos codec, Qualcomm Snapdragon 835 with 8 gig of RAM, so it's got a decent amount of RAM, 12 megapixel camera, 4000 mAh battery. That's all pretty standard. They actually market the 8 gigabyte as dual channel LPDDR4 at 1866 megahertz.
That's okay. So the specs are pretty incredible, but so far,
no, it seems like it's got pretty damn good specs.
We haven't found an OS yet.
No, that's the weird thing. They don't show the OS on here at all, which is very concerning.
Cell processing in chat just says the audio has to bounce off space, does it not? That's exactly how Atmos works. That's why I don't understand the gimmick of putting Atmos in a phone.
It's like it probably has a thing on it where it's like only in Atmos if you're sitting just perfect on the toilet and it reflects off the ceiling behind you. It's like Atmos enabled, Atmos disabled, Atmos enabled.
Yeah, seriously though, the Atmos soundbar that I have is upstairs in the upstairs loft. Because remember up there, I always had just the TV speakers. If you sit on that couch and you just close your eyes and listen to it, you would swear to God that there was like a 5-point surround going on in there.
Yeah, you know what? It has to be Android, because how in the hell would they have a marketplace? They're saying it runs all these great games and shit. There's no way.
Everyone's saying it's Nugget, Android Nugget.
All right, that makes sense.
I mean, there are only 2 OSs for a phone, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, no, 3. You got Windows Phone, which is dead.
Yeah, so I go back to my original statement.
Yeah, exactly. I guess, yeah. No, you're right. Probably shouldn't have even mentioned it.
Okay, so we've been streaming for an hour now. We are now moving out of tech. This is the part of the show I think Jerry and I live for.
Yeah,
we're gonna talk about whatever we want. So I'm just gonna pull the chat. Interesting topic we should talk about. Just to
actually might get one of these. I'm sorry, but now you got me looking at this thing. I'm like, this is actually kind of cool.
Yeah, Brian was gonna reach out to them to get one for a review unit. I think I'm just gonna buy it.
Their industrial design is so good. That's what I don't like, is a lot of people complain about quality issues. I guess their laptop had a lot of QC issues, but God, their shit just looks and feels so good.
It's 7.1.2.
All right. I'm closing the tabs. Temptation's getting me here.
Symbian for the win. Could you imagine the Symbian phone?
Symbian phone?
Yeah, the Symbian. The Symbian.
Oh, Symbian phone.
The Symbian phone.
I just got that.
The Symbian phone sold out. You're so red right now.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I just had a visual of you talking on your Symbian phone.
It's like nobody could understand you.
Turn it up, I can't hear you.
What's that noise in the background? I'm at a racetrack.
It's got Dolby Atmos.
Atmos.
Oh my God.
You know what though? The best part would be the Symbian phone has a 92.7% female purchasing rating. It's like, I want to know about the other like 6.5%.
Seriously.
Oh my goodness. Greetings from Poland. What's up, Audrey? Audrey, what's up? Creep factor. I know, right? Whatever happened to that phone OS Samsung was working on? I don't know. Who knows? Oh my goodness, Nissan
So many
370Z
phones
phone?
have come and gone. Like I mean, Microsoft probably being like the best attempt at least. But remember the what was the other one that Microsoft bought that just completely flopped? The Kin. Remember the Kin?
Oh geez.
That ran like its own operating system that was completely proprietary and shit. And that, oh my God, I only think that thing was alive for 2 weeks on the market.
I think the Jitterbug had a better chance of being a better OS than Windows Phone.
Jitterbug? I've never even heard of that.
Remember the Jitterbug? That was like the old people's. It was like the old people's phone.
The Jitterbug phone. I got to see this
Look
now. Buy Jitterbug.
Look at the size of the buttons.
It's awesome. And they still have a flip phone too.
Yes. And the had a little tune. Jitterbug.
Oh my God.
It was basically a phone marketed for old people with bad eyesight and couldn't touch the little buttons. And like their little infomercial was like showing like an old person trying, like an elderly woman trying to type on like the old Razer flip phone. And they were just like frustrated with it. And then this phone makes them happy because now they can call their grandkids. Dude,
this is hilarious. It's like rubberized edges so you can't like cut your face open accidentally.
It looks like it was made by Fisher Price.
It does. And there's like 20 of them too. Like they made a whole bunch of different ones.
Yeah. Can you still buy it now? Does it still work?
Yeah. Yeah, they're still for sale. I'm looking at them right now. $112 for like the one that's got the iPhone looking screen, but giant buttons on it. And then for the one that has the physical buttons, it's like $25 at Walmart.
I think I want to buy one for Nick for Christmas.
You should. Get him a Jitterbug and give it to him and say, you can't use any other phone. This is your corporate phone.
It's your company phone.
That'd be fantastic. Oh my God.
The Ubuntu phone. We forgot about that one. That never really went anywhere though.
No, and whatever happened to the phone that had the modules? You guys remember the modular phone where it's like you snapped on the camera?
That was
that was It never went anywhere, but I thought it was a really good idea, actually. I mean, from like an industrial design perspective, I thought it was cool that you could just buy the modules. If you wanted like 5 different cameras on your phone, you could do it.
Jay, the Mighty Car Mod guys are making over a 350Z. I've been tweeted that and messaged that and emailed that so much. I mean, that's cool, but I really don't care. I mean, they could be doing a Mustang for all they care and I have the same level of interest in it. I mean, it's just, I'm not like out there like, yeah, 370Z fam, 350Z fam, VQ fam. I'm just like, whatever. I like my car and that's all there is to it. I mean,
I like your car too. How are you digging the wheels now?
I feel like I'm cheating on my TE37s with these Gram lights because I like them just as much. Nick, every time Nick gets an opportunity now, he goes, wheel whore, wheel whore. Like he's calling me a wheel whore now.
Dude, you had a boner to get those like 12-year-old wheels when I was down there. Like you definitely, that was your unicorn.
The TEs, yeah, but you didn't see them in person though. Now that they're done.
No, I didn't see them now that they're done. How's that cubby working out for you, by the way? I'm glad you got your phone stuck in there.
So that's my Axon phone. I use that as like a logger in my car, right? Okay. Fits perfectly. Yeah. No, it's pretty neat. Like I was worried that I was going to have to glue it in there because it fits in the little, like the lip perfectly. But then I'm like, but it doesn't fit in there snug enough to not fall down. But they printed it, like they designed it perfectly to fit flush on the, like, the hump underneath underneath the center console perfectly. So once you put it in and you snap it down in place, it fits against both like top and bottom. So it doesn't move. It's perfect.
You know what else we could do as a project if you want is if you tell me the width of the phone. Like the actual width of the phone, I could make like a bracket. You know those little cup holder things that they have for your cell phone where you put it down in the cup holder and it holds your cell phone?
Yeah.
I could make one of those that's the exact dimensions of that pocket, like 3D model it into the pocket and print it. And then on the top of that, have a mast that comes up with a thing that holds the phone so that the phone would be like literally up out of the hole. And you'd literally just drop it in there like a cup and it would snap into place.
Yeah, the problem is if I raise it high like that, it's in the way of my shifter then.
Oh, that's true. I forgot. Yeah, your shifter is right in front of that, isn't it?
Yeah, as it is right now, when it's sticking out, it gets in the way of like 6th gear and reverse big time.
Got it.
The wife just texted me and said it was the Moto phone has the projector attachment and the Hasselblad thing. They still make it. Do you remember that projector phone? I do remember a phone that had a Pico projector in it. I thought that was actually kind of a pretty common thing. I thought there was a couple Android phones that either that or the wife is drunk. She said Hasselblad. Is Hasselblad a real word or is she misspelled Hasselhoff?
I think Hasselblad's the guys that make the really high-end audio speakers, right?
It'd be sad if she knows that and I don't, right?
I know,
because I don't. I'm so not an audiophile. We've been over
so there's lots of Android Pico projectors, but I don't see one built into a phone. Let's see your phone. Let's see your smartphone projector. Let's see if we can find one with the phone. Yeah, these are all shit. These are just projectors you connect to them. I don't see a phone with a projector in it. Yes, maybe somebody in chat knows which one it is. I see a lot of Pico projectors that just plug into the bottom of the phone and they're roughly the same size as the phone. but I don't know of a phone that actually has a Pico projector built into it. Now I have seen one before from North Korea. It was one of the candy bar phones from North Korea that had a projector built into it.
No. I know. I remember this is. Austin Evans had one. He showed it to us. We were at dinner with him when we were doing the Day of Refinement thing with earlier the year or last year, whatever it was. It's the Moto Z Force because it has those attachments that go in the back of the phone.
Oh, so it was an attachment, the projector.
Yeah,
thing.
basically it was like the whole back half of the phone like is magnetic and it pops off, and you can switch them with like a full camera or a projector or whatever.
Yeah, it's got like an array of 16 pogo pins down on the bottom.
Right.
So you put the attachment on there. Okay, I see.
That was actually pretty damn cool, and in my opinion, that's the kind of stuff that would make me like consider going back to Android.
Having a modular phone, I think, would be a really cool thing. I mean, they already kind of do it with the lenses on some of the phones, like the cases and stuff. But I think having a truly modular phone where it's like, I want to just, snap a thing on it and get more storage. I want to snap a thing on it and have like a fucking, different modem or a different radio band or something like that. Yeah. Stuff like that I think would be pretty cool. And that's why I like that modular design of the Kickstarter project. But the problem with that one is you drop it and it like Legos. I bet you just probably bust into like 13 different pieces. And then you're like, fuck.
I feel ashamed that my wife knew more about this than I did. Maybe that's because it just goes to show how much I've just not been into mobile tech all that much. So I just didn't follow any of it.
Oh, Hasselblad's a camera manufacturer. Okay.
Yeah, there was a full screen camera, or like a full size camera you could put on the back of it. That was like it was like beyond point and shoot level. It was like close to DSLR level.
Gotcha. Who was the company that made that weird camera that you could do the focus? You could do the focus after taking the picture.
Oh, Austin did a review of it. I can't remember what it's called.
Not Lycra. It was it like change? They were around for a very short period of time, and then they went out of business.
Jay, look at the red phone. I don't know if I could afford a red phone.
No, the red phone, I looked at that too, and it's like the red phone's just like the red camera. Everything's an attachment for it. And so that's cool that it's an attachment, but it's too expensive.
What's the like buy-in cost on that?
I think it was going to be like $1,200 for the phone, if I remember. It was either $800, but with the camera module, it was way more than that. And of course, you have to have the camera module.
Apple makes a $1,000 phone. Tech heads lose their shit around the world. Red makes a $1,200 phone. Photographers rejoice.
Let's see here. So it honestly didn't look like it was that great. It was just red cashing in. Red though. This is my problem with red.
Everyone's saying Lytro. Why are they saying Lytro? Something you were looking for?
Lytro.
Lytro.
Ly. Let me see. I want to see if this is it. Yeah, the light field cameras. Yeah. This actually looks like a different company doing the same thing though. The one that I was looking at was different than this. But yeah, it's the same thing. It's like it's a special type of camera where you take the picture and it saves all the data from the sensor to the camera, but without focus taken into effect. So you can move the focus.
Right.
It's really, really weird how it works. But they're called light field cameras, and they work complete. Oh, I found a picture of one. It's let's see, what is this thing called? It is. No, it is. It's just they were right. It's the Lytro Ilium. And it's just a really weird ass looking camera, but it focuses 0 millimeters to infinity on every shot. So you could literally like set a penny on the lens and take a picture of it and it'd be in full focus, or you can focus on something a mile away. And then when you take the picture in the software, you tell it what you want the focal length to be.
Does it just take such a high speed burst of images at all these different focal lengths that you just kind of choose between them in the software, or what?
That's kind of what I think it does. Because it does use up a lot of space. The picture size is very large, and you have to use their proprietary software to like read it in and process it.
Crazy.
But it never really went anywhere. Like they had, I remember they had a store in my mall, in the Bellevue Mall. They had a store that was selling these, but there was like never more than like one person in the store. Like they definitely went under. But yeah, no, interesting concept though. And then there was another company that made a portable phone that was about the size of a big cell phone that had like 12 lenses on it. Did you ever see that one?
No.
And basically you take a picture and it uses all of the lenses to gather a bunch of data, and then you make the photo in post. Like you just point and click, and then you got like massive amounts of zoom that you can do and everything like that. It's really crazy. It's like, hold on here, multi-lens smartphone camera. Where is it? Oh, here, I think I found it. It's oh, here, I found that modular phone.
Well, Abe Lincoln in chat, glad to see that Abraham Lincoln is still around and kicking. He said it's a setting done by software and it takes like 20 images. That's the only way I could see it does it.
Yeah. Oh, here, I found it. It's called the Light. It's the Light camera. And it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 lenses. And when you take a picture, it uses all of them.
Jay, can't the Note 8 do that? I don't know. I tend to stay away from incendiary devices.
That's good. That's really good. Yeah, if you go look up the light camera. Just like, you're probably gonna find a million things. They should have called it something other than a light camera, but it basically looks like a cell phone with 16 cameras on the back of it. When I first saw it, I thought it was lights. Just LIGHT.
Oh, jeez.
Just do a search for light camera. Put 16 on the end because it's got 16 lenses. It's comical when you look at it. The first thing you think is, yeah, you look at it and you think it's like a or something.
It looks like it got wet.
Yeah, but it's like apparently you just take a picture with this, and they said it rivals like even the best DSLR camera.
I'm so sick of that. I'm so sick of every time someone comes up with some gimmick like this, it's always like better than DSLR. It's like, if ever, you know what? As a consumer, this is the way I've always looked at it. Everybody compares blah 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 to DSLR. This is better than DSLR. That's better than DSLR. Yep. This is. It makes me want to buy a DSLR if that's the thing everyone's benchmarking against.
Yep, and I came from DSLR. I actually moved away from it because there's more to shooting video than just image quality.
Yeah.
Hell, you know that you shoot on Sony. I'm just kidding. I actually wish I had.
What's kind of funny is until I got into dedicated video, I never even considered Sony. I never considered it. I never considered the A7. I never considered certainly not FS5 and FS7, but I just never thought about it until I really started doing research on Sony's video products and moving to a dedicated video camera and getting off DSLR, where I really got excited about video.
Oh, and other than the build quality, I'm so glad that I moved like the Sony FDR-AX53 because it's really small. It's lighter weight and smaller than the DSLR was with the lens. It gives me more focal length right out of the box than the lenses that I had. Mm-hmm. Granted, you have more options with DSLR, but that's money, right? That's a lot of money. It gives me that ability. Very simple to use. Records indefinitely. I can record like 6 hours on one battery, whereas the DSLR was much more heavy on the processing, at least on my 5D Mark III.
Right.
There was just so many pluses to just using a video camera over the photography DSLR. But granted, if you had the right lens at the right focal length and the right lighting situation, the DSLR did look moderately better. But across the entire range and the freedom that it gives me, these little cameras, they're way better overall. And that's why I don't think people that just spout image quality and specs, that's part of it, but that's not all of it.
You know what's frustrating is people like Lethal Lightning in chat. They'll make a statement like Sony is garbage, but then they give no argument, or they have no information or any argument to support their claim. So yeah, that's the problem with the internet today. Blah 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 is garbage because they're a fanboy of something else. Admittedly, they're probably a Canon fanboy. They're a Nikon fanboy or something.
I mean, I've done it myself, right? I was a Canon when I had my Canon 5D Mark II, Mark III. I was a Canon snob and fuck Nikon and. No, I've been there. I can say that I've walked that line. The frustrating
part, though, is they took the time to type it because they want someone to see it and consider their thought that Sony is garbage. But they couldn't take the time to actually explain why they say it's garbage. And more than likely, they don't have any experience with anything other than some low-end point-and-shoots or maybe some mid-range point-and-shoots with video capability. And they're speaking to it in terms of what Sony does in the high-end space, which is where I reside. So their comment has no weight, no validity, and really just makes it seem like they should probably be playing with a speak and spell because that's probably more their speed. So if you can't tell, guys, if you're going to make a statement like something's garbage, support it if you want any sort of respect towards your comment.
No, that I agree with. You get a lot of people that are like, no, that's stupid, and there's like nothing to back it up. Or back it up doesn't any of the reasons as to why you said you like the product.
Right.
You know, it's like when you're like, man, I really love the video quality on this. And it's like, oh, but it's got the, RB, TQ, pixel window. And the other camera's got the better pixel window with more higher bit rates and everything. And I'm like, but I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about the physical specs on paper. I'm talking about the end processed result and what it looks like with my capabilities.
Netman says, Jay, please stick foot in mouth about your Note 8 comment. No, you stick your wang in your mouth. I don't care if the Note 8 has the same problem as the Note 7 because the Note 7.
I bet you wouldn't reach.
Probably not. But because of the Note 7, I don't want to even consider a Note 8.
The Note 8 is pretty tits, though. I'd like to have a Note 8.
But to be fair, iPhone 8 had swelling battery issues, too. So I don't want a cell phone at all. So
does the iPhone. The fucking, what are they saying? The iPhone, it's either the X or the 8. One of them just already had a couple.
Yeah, the 8 was swelling, and it was like not catching fire, but it was actually, the battery was swelling so much it was splitting the case apart.
Yeah, when I did that little unboxing and like kind of like quasi review of the Red Raven, right? That Graham got. Everybody's like, you should get a Red. You should get a Red. They're so amazing. And I drank the Kool-Aid, right? I was like, I want a Red because under the right situation with the right skills and the right lens and the lighting and everything, you can do an amazing shot. Like he did some shots of the Viper during the Viper shoot that I didn't think were possible. Like in the lighting, everything, they looked amazing. But the second that I held that camera and I fucked with the menu system and I saw how slow the menu system was, how slow it was to react, how long it took to boot it up, that camera would not work practically for anything that I do.
Right.
Like for my workflow, that camera would be absolutely worthless. Like the Sony, I flip the thing open, it's ready to go. I shoot the video, it imports right into Premiere without any massaging. I don't have to do any of the log. I don't have to do any of the application of color filters and shit like that. It's very straightforward. And for my workflow and what I do, that works really, really great. And even though the Red overall has the more top end capability, you have to deal with a lot of shit to get that.
Right.
And it's the same thing with your Sonys and everything like that to a certain extent. It's like once you get used to them, but it's like a lot more manual stuff. You're definitely more involved in the process, which you like to be. But without the knowledge, if you were just in a quick situation, you were like running down the street and something was happening, would you reach for your Sony FS5 that you got like boot up and fuck with all the settings? Or are you going to grab the thing that you just flip open, hit record, and it's going in 2 seconds?
I'm going to go for my Sony FS5.
Okay, well, that's you.
My Sony FS5 boots up in about 5 seconds and it's ready to record.
Okay, that's impressive. The Red takes like a minute.
Yeah, this ain't...
And the menu system, like you push down and it's like down, down, down. It's like, I don't know why their menu system is so slow.
Yeah, so, but the problem is you just took a problem with one brand and applied it to another as a blanket statement, and that's what the internet does as a whole, and it really irks me because
well, no, 5 seconds is still a lot. If you need to shoot something that's only 3 seconds long, 5 seconds is a long time. It's not as much, but I think my argument still stands as far as if something can immediately be ready to go, like your cell phone, for instance. If you can push one button on your cell phone, it's instantly recording video and something crazy is going on, you want to capture that moment versus having to boot up for 5 seconds on something. And presumably because it's big, you have to pick it up or possibly change a lens and stuff like that. It's like, I would still go, maybe you wouldn't, but I would go for the option that allowed me to capture the moment versus the thing that I might.
How often have you found yourself in that situation? One, you're not a field reporter or a freelance
Dude, I have ADHD. That's like every 10 minutes for me.
Okay.
Like Xander is a squirrel, man. You don't want to even know how I've almost missed that Xander's done. And you having kids, well, you probably you don't record a lot of stuff. I don't think your kids do, like for like the internet or whatever. But
I record tons of stuff that my kid does. I just don't put it on the internet. You
don't put it on the internet, but I'm just saying, like for me, like the stuff I do with Xander and he's telling jokes and stuff, I have to move really quick because he loses interest like that. Like I would never have a hope of trying to record him with like my DSLR.
I don't use my DSLR for family photos anyway. Like for family, I'm sorry, my FS5 and stuff.
Yeah,
I never use that for family stuff. I have a. Well, just size, first of all. I'm not going to carry it with me to the mall and stuff.
No, fair enough. But that's my point is I'm just saying it's the camera that you have, right? It's the camera that's going to do whatever you need to do at that moment in time.
Right. I'm not going to build my business off of a point and shoot or an iPhone or a Samsung camera or anything like that. But I mean, I saw a comment float by a while ago that was like, but Sony has memory problems. Like, I have no idea what the hell they're talking about. And,
yeah, Sony uses a different kind of memory. Like,
first of all, like the FS7 uses XD cards, which is this guy right here, which looks like, that's what I've been playing with this whole thing. It looks like an overgrown, super fat SD card, but it's not. It's XD card. It's got a read write of like 300 megabytes a second.
That's the one that's got the 8 pins on it instead of the 4, right?
I don't know how many pins are in there.
Like the little contact points on it when you put it in the reader.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah,
there's a ton of them. There's a whole bunch of contact points in there. But anyway,
oh shit, I guess I haven't used those.
I've been shooting with FS5 now for over a year, and I've been shooting with FS7 for about 3 months now. And not one time have we ever experienced some so-called memory issue or menu issue or anything. It's always been, turn it on, it's ready to go. It's never failed us. Never.
Is that a Sony memory card, or can you buy third-party memory cards?
This one's Lexar.
Yeah, so that's my point. Is if you're saying Sony has terrible memory, you're talking about Sony's memory cards. You're not talking about all the other memory cards they can use.
I have no idea. I mean, I
like Lexar and Samsung, all those memory cards are like really, really good and they would work equally well in your camera, right?
This is not compact flash. My God, it's XD.
Compact flash is dead. Like nothing takes compact flash anymore.
Some do. Some Nikons still do.
Like the new ones?
I don't know if they're new, but I know that there's newer cameras that still use compact flash. Nick was
I
telling
wonder what the reasoning behind that is.
Anyway, so I guess I hate fanboyism. I hate fanboyism. All sorts of fanboys, they exist. They're everywhere. They're always going to be there. But God, did they irk me? I'm
an NVIDIA fanboy though, and an Intel fanboy because I don't want a Ryzen system. I want an Intel system. I want X299. I want Titans. I don't want Radeons.
I think you're a fan for whatever that you can get for free.
That's true. That's fair enough.
And you know what? For anyone in this chat that bitches or whines that Jerry gets sponsored or I get sponsored, there's not a single person in this chat that's self-righteous enough to turn down a sponsorship. If one came your way, you know you'd take it like that. So shut up.
It's true. The only people that bitch about that shit are the people that can't get it.
Not a single. Nick just said compact flash is still a thing for high-end Nikons.
Wow. I wonder if it's they have some feature or something that the newer memory cards don't.
Hella faster than SD. Yeah, like I said, this XD card, it's 440 megabytes per second on this XD card.
Yeah, because I was gonna say there's no way. I've never had a compact flash card that was anything over like 190.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, XD is the new thing for FS7, and then the SD cards that go into the FS5, if I'm going to record internally, I mean, they're a max of what, 80 megabytes or 95 megabytes per second, right? And then I can read them at about 80 megabytes per second when I'm transferring. But of course, if we really want to take it to the next level, then we just use our SSDs and our Atomos field recorder.
Interesting. I think it might just be just straight up storage, because the read write speed looks like it's only 90 meg a second, which is like really slow compared to even some of the SD cards.
Yeah. Well, I think SD is never going to go anywhere because of the point and shoot craze and the amount of little cameras and stuff that use them. But in the professional space, man, is it expensive for storage. Like this 128 gigabyte XQD card is like $120, $150.
But yet the equivalent for red is like 900 or 800 or 900.
Oh, you're talking about the mini mags, and that's different.
Yeah.
That's different entirely. I mean, the cool thing about our Atomos is so I have two Atomos Ninja Infernos, and the Inferno is pretty neat because it just uses caddies that you screw standard SSDs into, and you've got a list of compatibility. So we're running 850 Evos, and I can go out and buy a 500. Well, I used to be able to buy a 500 gigabyte SSD for like $200 and something, but everything's gone up lately. But I went out and bought two 500 gigabyte SSDs at the time for like $150 each. So for $300, I had a terabyte of SSD storage for our Atomos. Or Atomos.
I actually, and I like the idea of using the SSD too, because they're still relatively small, but they got a shitload of storage, really high read write speed. Even if you connect them through like USB 3, or even if you have like an eSATA connector on your computer, you could just connect it right up through your eSATA connector and get full speed.
What I love about the Atomos though is the fact that it's big and heavy. You saw it, right?
They're awesome. I love them.
But they're heavy and they're large. Yep. And you put the batteries on there that we have. It takes dual batteries, and you put the SSD on there. It's weighty. But what I like about it is the fact that it uses SDI input, so we can actually mount. Like Nick could wear it on his waist if he wanted, if he in a pouch or whatever. And if he didn't want to, I'd say a hook. That way it doesn't overheat. But then we could run video output from that into a field monitor, still on the FS5, keep the weight on his hook on his waist, and then when he hits record, because it has communication between the camera over HDMI or even SDI. Yeah. When we hit record on the camera, it also hits record on the Atomos. So
it like sends the command over the SDI cable?
There's a control over the SDI cable.
That's really cool.
So yeah, it's pretty neat. We've been playing around with stuff like that. But we also have this guy right here. This is actually one of our favorite rigs. This is our Sony A7s II. Don't ask me why I went with the 7 over the R. There's great articles out there about which is what and why you would like it better. This mic is kind of silly up here. We've been using this, but this is our field rig. This also has an 18 to 35 Sigma lens on there. We have tons of lenses. It's got this handle on here. This is the Tilta cage. Jerry has seen us use this. We absolutely love this camera.
That's literally the only DSLR that I would even be remotely interested in going back to as far as my primary camera.
Yeah, and the Mark III's out now too.
What does that give you?
No idea.
Okay.
I haven't been looking because I don't feel like buying something.
I just like how small the body is on it. Like that's actually a small package. Like my 5D Mark III was insane, and that can all be powered off like USB power brick and everything too, right?
So what you have right here is one of those like Amazon battery pack seller blah blah blah. So we got one with the lipstick one because it's a cylinder like this.
Yep.
So we just jerry rigged our own little mount for it right here onto our cage, and then we actually just run this cable right here from the battery pack to the camera's micro SD input, and then this will actually power our camera for like more than an entire day. As long as there's a battery inside the camera, it will take the power from the external battery. So if you wanted to take like your 20,000 milliamp external battery and
Yep.
and put it on this cage, you had a bunch of weight, but you'd probably power the thing for like a week.
Dude, that's awesome. Does it use the autofocus and the lenses and everything too?
It can if you have a lens
video?
on there that communicates autofocus.
Okay.
We use a Metabones adapter for our Canon glass because there's still way more Canon lenses than any other brand.
Yep.
And it can communicate with the latest software update, but it's slow and it hunts a lot. It's always hunting, so we just use manual focus for everything.
Got it. Because that's one of the things that I rely on a lot in my operation is the autofocus, which I know you don't.
And and Nick is starting to get a lot better at it. In the beginning, we had a lot of complaints about, oh my god, whoever's like the autofocus sucks, and it's like little did they know it wasn't autofocus, it was Nick trying to find focus. But he's getting a lot better at it now. So I mean, it's an art, right?
Yeah, totally.
You give a guy a new piece of equipment, and he's got to learn it like anything else. Growing pains. Anyway,
no, I agree.
So we've got 5 minutes left here. What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about my new computer that's getting built tomorrow, and what do you think about it, and how far you be able to.
Your audio is cutting out. You're getting a new computer tomorrow. You want to talk to me about how far you can overclock it?
Yeah. I want to tell you what the specs are on it and get your thoughts on like what you think I could potentially overclock it to on air.
Okay.
So let's go through it. So the specs on tomorrow's build that I'm doing over at Puget, we're going to be live streaming that too, by the way.
You're getting a 7940X. I know that.
So it's got the gigabyte. Yeah, the 7940X. It's going to be on the Gigabyte X299. Was it RS7?
Okay, the RS7.
So it's going to have 128 gigs of 2666 DDR4.
So you're going to be populating all 8 DIMMs?
Yes.
Okay, that's going to lower your overclocks there.
Oh, well, okay.
Yep.
Well, I'd rather have more memory than the overclock.
It puts more stress on the IMC.
Oh, does it really? I didn't know that. Is that just a whole quad channel thing, or is it even more than that now?
It just has to do with the memory controller. I was actually having a good conversation with Kingpin about this because it's something I've known about for a long time. Mm-hmm. It probably won't limit how far you can go on air, though.
Oh, gotcha. It starts just getting down to the little nitty gritty when you're taking it to the edge. The system's going to have 4 Samsung 960 2 terabyte M2 drives in it.
Damn, that's expensive.
Yeah, that's where most of the build cost was the memory and the heart and the storage.
Yeah.
And then it's got
I hope you're actively cooling those in some way.
Oh, I'm sure they will. On my old system, they put heat sinks on all of them.
Okay.
But I was running I don't think I had it was 960 in my old one, but it was the small one.
The only thing that sucks about the heat sinks though is you're only cooling one side of it, and it's double sided.
True.
So
yeah. So and then hold on here, we're gonna build it out in the Fractal Design R5 titanium. So it's gonna be a little bit smaller than my current one because my current case is massive. The what is it? The R2 XL, too damn big. So just out of curiosity on that, so the 7940 runs at a stock clock speed of 3.1 gigahertz. How much headroom do you think you could get on that, like safely on air?
Not very far.
Not very far. You think that's probably running pretty close to
you've got a lot of cores in that.
14 of them. I know. That's
well,
crazy.
I mean, I've got the 16 and the 18 core. I've got the 18 core running 4.9 on water, but I wouldn't be able to run 4.9 under like something like Prime 95. But in my day-to-day tasks, it'll work fine. I am running my 7960X, which is the 16 core, on my rendering / daily machine at the studio. It's water cooled at 4.5.
And what was the stock clock on it?
Oh, I don't know. It was like 3. Some of that.
That's pretty impressive. So on air, I'd imagine I could probably get to about 65 or 70%.
You could probably get a solid like 3.8.
3.8 would be sweet. Like if I could even get close, even to the ballpark,
especially for Premiere, because Premiere really wants to see core clock.
Yeah, and that was the thing. That was the reason why I clock. But you actually did raise an interesting point about the more memory putting strain on the control. I just got to watch the temperatures primarily, right? Would you be willing to give me some tips and tricks on that when I'm ready to? I'm not going to overclock it right out of the box. I'm going to use it for a week or so. But when I start doing the overclocking, could you give me some tips and tricks on how to walk that thing up nice and slowly? Because I haven't done overclocking in forever.
No, easy enough. But I have to assume they're going to be going with like a big ass Noctua cooler or something.
Oh yeah, they always put Noctua coolers on these things.
Oh, like an ND14 or something like that.
Let me see. I don't remember what the name is of the one that they
NH14
them for the Xeons, but it was massive. I mean, it goes all the way out to the door of the case.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
it's got like a 120 millimeter fan on it.
You could probably easily hit 3.5 to 3.8 on all cores, but you gotta understand that the heat like exponentially goes up with voltage on these chips.
Yeah, I figured as much, and this is a 165 watt chip, so.
Gareth Tucker says, why not water on X299? Jerry's system is all about hardware reliability and ease of maintaining, and there is nothing simpler than air for maintenance.
Yep. And the thing is, these systems too, I mean, unless you're running them under full GPU load, they're actually like really quiet, 'cause they put the noise dampening stuff on the inside of the case doors and everything, the Dynamat looking stuff.
Yeah.
So these things, like my main system, unless you run the GPUs at over 80%, you don't hear anything. It's a dead silent computer.
I see that. I see Nick is in chat, and he responded to someone saying, "The one you can afford. Don't hurt yourself with gear acquiring syndrome. Use what you got." I assume he's responding to somebody asking about what hardware they should get. It's important to note that Nick came on board and got way in over his head with the gear that I was acquiring, because I'm a gearhead. I love the gear, and I've spent a lot of time learning how to use the gear. This has been a long journey of growing pains for Nick to start getting comfortable with using our gear. But this A7s II right here, this is Nick's favorite piece of equipment that we own.
Really?
Yeah, he's the A7. He would reach for that before any other camera any day. It just has its limitations still being DSLR with regards to multiple inputs and all that junk. In fact, there's something I still have to buy for this before CES. Otherwise, we're kind of screwed.
Oh my God. See, that's the thing is, the next camera that I'm looking at for me, just to stay within my genre of handy cam, because I've just done so well with these things, is the new AX700, which is the one that has, it does HDR, it does 120 at 1080p, it does limited log. It's not full log like yours, but it does something else like log S or something like that.
Well, they're all S-Log, but there's different kinds.
Okay, well, it was whatever it wasn't like the real one, but it gave you more. It said that it gave you more control over editing.
It might be a hybrid log.
It had the dual SD cards so that you could do them either in tandem, so it writes to one, then writes to the other one, or it writes to both of them simultaneously, so you have a backup. But it was all in the form factor of the AX53, just a little bit bigger, because it's got like a grip that pops out the side.
Right.
But otherwise, it's literally like the same camera. It had a little bit more of a focal length to it. And I just looked at it and I was like, it's about $1,800, but
oh, Jerry froze. Are you back?
Yeah.
Okay.
What happened?
You froze for a second there on a really derpy face. If you look at the chat, you'll see it. It was like super derp.
Anyways, I'm trying to figure out if on my primary camera I want to go like a DSLR, like the A7S or A7R, or if I want to go with the AX1 or the AX700, which is the new handy cam. And it's a tough decision for me to make, because if I go back to the DSLR route, then of course there is a little bit of a learning curve there. However, other route, it's not going to be as good. It's not going to be as big of a sensor, but it's going to be way easier for me to use overall.
Yeah. We just hit 6:31, and I think that the internet is telling us it's time to go, because the call quality between us is deteriorating quickly.
Yeah, I can see this. Time to say bye-bye and prepare for next week.
Yeah. All right, guys. We got some content coming up. Jerry has got a new computer being built tomorrow, obviously. And I've got, I don't know, whatever random crap I decide to do between now and the end of the week. So with that said, I'm going to go. Guys, make sure you follow Jerry over. Check him out over on barnnerd.com if you've never heard of him before. And if you guys are here, then you already know who I am. So with that said, I'm going to go. Thanks for watching. I'm going to roll that outro. Jerry, take it away.
All right. Thank you for watching Tech Talk. Come and heckle Houston, who's building my computer at Puget Systems tomorrow, over on Twitch TV/Barnacle. And if you love Tech Talk, slap a like on it, because there's only 564 likes and there's like 2,948 of you. You know what to do. Push the button before you leave.
Push like if you think Jerry forgot how to build a computer. Okay.